Hello, mates. Hola. Boop. Woo-wee. Back at it. This should be good. Lovely. Again, want to welcome everybody to episode 3, Sheldon Jeter, Rachael DelTondo case. Saturday, I'm doing a double feature, so get yourself a glass. We got a birthday. My birthday is in 3 days. I'm turning 30 for the fourth time. Oh, perfect. All right. I know this is a weird time that I'm doing it. You guys can watch it whatever you need to. It's obviously we got distracted a little bit, but we're back. Gonna give people a chance to get in. I know people saw like different like stuff popping up, so first things first, I will do this episode will be right around an hour and 10 minutes. And then I will be starting right back up with the second episode that I'm doing tonight. So I'm breaking them up into certain phases. I'm just doing a double feature. So hello chat. We should have a nice clean chat. I made it members only to chat. My 9 o'clock one, I'm gonna let it be a free for all. Just that way I can keep it, you know, quote unquote, bring the haters out, you know. Love the hat. Oh yeah, baby, oh yeah. Let's see. Hooey. I'm gonna grab one thing really quick. Be right back. BRB. Okay. Again, this is episode 3, where today's episode is going to start is with the red flags. So, in case you guys don't know this, but Sheldon will start the jury selection process this Monday, the 7th. So you guys get to see things in real time. You're going to hear about a little bit more than probably the average person out there. We really need to get the word out. So I'm trying to meet up with as many news / media personnel, stuff like that. So if you guys want to share anything, that'd be awesome. But so we're moving to the Sheldon Jeter Pew case. This is where this picks up. The reason this is important is because this is why Sheldon got arrested. He is facing criminal homicide for the death of Tyreek Pew. This happened, the homicide was the 15th of May of 2020, remember, during the pandemic. And then the next day, the following day, he was arrested down at the station on May 16th, 2020. So obviously, everything that ever is going to be talked about when you talk about Sheldon Jeter Jr., the number one red flag to this murder that happened, 2 years after the Rachael murder was and is that Sheldon Jeter is tied to Rachael DelTondo. So that's always going to be something that you're going to associate Sheldon Jeter with Rachael. Now, I think I left off on why is Pew dead? Why was Pew killed? it's without a doubt in my investigation that Pugh was the target due to the fact that he shared on his identification card the same address that Sheldon did, okay? Not that he lived there, because he didn't. He didn't live there. He hadn't lived there in years. Pugh was known to be, bouncing around. Pugh is a black man, aged like 30, 31. He hung out with both white men and women, black men and women. So we're going to talk about the day what the cops want to say why they had probable cause. Probable cause is what one would need in order to obtain a search warrant. Okay? So, again, we're going to go over the red flags. We're going to go over a probable cause, the probable cause affidavit for Orchard. I will be reading that. The red flags have to do with Pugh's cell phone, the neighborhood witness statements, the statements made in the probable cause affidavit, the timeline of May 15th, the timeline of May 16th. The red flags are also Carlisha Williams, her mother, the 911 call, the double cross setup, and we will be referencing People vs. Cook from a 1978 case, People vs. Cook. And we will be referencing our Fourth Amendment rights by illegal search and seizure coming from Cook, the People vs. Cook. It happened in California in 1978, whereas you cannot fill out a probable cause affidavit knowingly that it is not facts, using false information and fake information and false information. You cannot knowingly do that to obtain a probable cause search warrant from a judge. This is your probable cause, you take it to the judge, they sign it based on the facts. So a judge looks it over and then signs their name to it, and then you can then go to that residence or wherever you're searching, and then you can search for what you requested in the, that's how that works. But there is a way to motion and to succeed if you can prove that a probable cause affidavit is in fact not true, and police officers or police detectives, whoever filled it out, knowingly filled it out knowing it was not fact. So we're gonna start by, I'm going to read you guys a little story. And then we're gonna talk about the red flags. By the way, if you guys want to reference that case that I was just talking about, all right. So red flag number 1, the Rachael DelTondo case. So you're gonna put that in your back pocket. Number 2 is the 911 call. We've never heard the Rachael DelTondo 911 call. Never heard it. The Pugh Jeter case that Jeter is going to trial for this coming week. We have never heard, the public has never heard the 911 call. So And then here we get to this one, the third one, which is, I want to read you guys a story. Your offendant is a trooper with the Pennsylvania State Police, having been employed with the Pennsylvania State Police since March 6th, 2015. They go on to say where they received their education. During these instructional classes and the Pennsylvania State Police Academy, the proper preparation and execution of search warrants was discussed in depth. My current duty assignment is that of a criminal investigator assigned to the Pennsylvania State Police Criminal Investigation Unit. On Friday, May 15th, 2020, at approximately 23:50 hours, so I will break everything down for you guys. So that would be at 11:50 p.m. 11:50 p.m. I was notified that the Aliquippa Police Department requesting PSP to take primary investigative responsibility on a deceased male with apparent multiple gunshot wounds who was located on Keel Street, Aliquippa City, Pennsylvania. Upon my arrival on scene, I was briefed by PSP patrol troopers and Aliquippa patrol men on the current knowledge of the incident. On 5/15 at 11:41 p.m., Aliquippa Police Department was dispatched to the area of Keel Street for a report of an unresponsive male on the ground. Again, that's the 911 call that we've never heard. No one's heard it. The Aliquippa Police Department arrived on scene at 11:43. Dispatched out at 11:41, which is important in the timeline. So if you got a pen, write down. Police called at 11:41, on scene by 11:43. Okay? Boom, boom for you. The police department from where they were dispatched and going to, just so you guys know, is literally, you can get there depending, I mean, obviously when it's dispatched out, a police officer could be, right next to that area, a police officer could be whatever, but they were within 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes of the dispatch, they were there. They were there, according to this. The Aliquippa Police Department arrived on scene, like I said, 11:43. The deceased male was located and observed laying face up. Red flag number 1. Face up. Red flag number 1, face up. Okay. On Keel Street. On Keel Street. Not on the side of Keel Street. Not on Keel Street. With what appeared to be multiple gunshot wounds. The deceased male was surrounded by empty shell casings. The deceased male was positively identified as Tyreek Pugh. They had his ID, his wallet was on him, and they were able to get his name and his address, which said, I won't say it. It was on Orchard Street, because that's been known, Aliquippa, PA. Again, his identification was on him, his wallet was on him. This was just after everybody had started getting their stimulus checks. Just keep that in mind. Now, part 3. So, whenever you do usually a probable cause affidavit, you list things as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is just like your main points of what the reasoning for whatever you're looking to go do. Number 3, on 5/16 at approximately 1:24 a.m. Okay, so the next main time that you want to note is 1:24 a.m. So your first one should be 11:41 was the dispatch, because the call was at 11:30. Yeah, 1:41. Or I'm sorry, 11:41, 11:43, and now your third time that you want to list is 1:24 a.m. Approximately 1:24 a.m. A witness who will be identified as witness number 1 was interviewed on scene, where he advised the following. So this is what witness 1 says. He was at his residence located near the scene when he heard numerous gunshots coming from the direction where the deceased male was located. He was at his residence, and he is saying that he heard multiple gunshots coming from where the deceased was located. So that's witness 1. A few minutes later, so a couple minutes after he hears these gunshots, a few minutes later, this person will be identified as witness number 2. This person arrived at this man's residence and advised him that he located a deceased male on Keel Street. Okay, so witness number 1 says he heard gunshots from his home on Keel Street. Then witness 2 is saying that he arrives at witness 1's house a couple minutes after witness 1 said that they heard gunshots. And witness 2 is saying, again, after a few minutes later, his friend, who will be identified as witness 2, arrived at his residence and advised him that he located a deceased male on Keel Street. Witness 1 and witness 2 and another witness, who will be identified as witness 3, traveled from the residence to where witness 2 located the deceased male. Upon their arrival, there was a minivan parked next to the body, and an individual standing by the van, who was identified, now we're going to identify this as witness number 4. Witness number 4 advised the individuals, don't worry, I've already called the police. 911's been called. It said it already contacted 911 and reported the incident at 11:41. All 4 witnesses remained on scene to be formally interviewed by investigators. Now let's talk about this for a second. Okay. It is 2020. We all have cell phones. Who finds a deceased body, decides to not call 911, but continue on, go to their friend's house, let this person know that they found a deceased body, gather this person, and now another person goes back to wherever this body is, which I'll show you guys, I'll map it out so you guys see how this is. Meanwhile, none of those 1, 2, or 3 have remotely touched their cell phones to make any type of phone call. Then when they get to the body, there's a person there, and hey, I went ahead and called 911's been contacted. Okay, that's what, just breaking it down for you guys, those that are listening, following along, that is basically what this officer is saying. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, that's what's there at this point. Number 4, here we go. While canvassing the area and surrounding roadways, one thing I also want to point out, they started to be interviewed at 1:24 hours was when they started interviewing. So, they were on scene 11:43. They started then with the interviewing of the witnesses, not till 1:24, what they're saying, a.m. Okay? It's gonna be important. Now, number 4, while canvassing the area and surrounding roadways, surveillance cameras were located on the exterior of Two Cousins Market, which is located at this address on Franklin Ave. Franklin Ave is located just north of Keel Street, and it is connected by Cochran Street. Upon review of the camera footage during the time frame of the incident, specifically 5/15/2020 at approximately 11:36 p.m., a Chevy SUV was observed traveling west on Franklin Avenue, traveling away from Keel Street. Surveillance from the Dollar General located on Franklin Ave was viewed and observed on 5/15/2020 at approximately 11:37, 1 minute later. The same SUV was observed traveling west on Franklin Ave. The Dollar General is located west of the Two Cousins Market. Now, so number 5. Pennsylvania State Police and Alcoa Police arrived at Pugh's listed address on Orchard Street. Because again, this is what his ID said. He doesn't live there, and he hasn't lived there for a long time. They went to this address to conduct follow-up interviews as well as a possible death notification. Possible? Well, if that's the address, why would it be possible? Located in the driveway of the residence was a Chevy SUV, matching the description of the vehicle observed on the Two Cousins Market surveillance. Upon arrival of PSP members and Alcoa Police members, they were met by a member of the family that lived there, that actually lived there. And who was older, like 85, 87, up there. He invited, I'm just gonna read this word for word of my story here. I'm just telling you guys a story. He invited law enforcement into his residence. While they were inside, this person advised that Pugh was at his residence earlier. Sheldon, Jeter, and Pugh left the residence together on 5/15 at approximately 10:30. It says 22:30 hours. So that's the next time that you're gonna notice how they do not say what time they arrived at the residence to give this death notice. They don't give you a time of what time that happened. But the next time frame that they gave us is that, according to this family member, is that, about 10:30, leaving, like, they left the residence, 10:30. And they were leaving to go up the hill to Plan 6, where Pugh requested to be dropped off because he wanted to walk, so Sheldon Jeter dropped him off there. Again, this is an elderly person, 85. This person then asked if law enforcement has located Pugh. So at this point, no death notice has been given because this person's asking if they've located Pugh. This person then summoned Sheldon Jeter from upstairs in his bedroom. When Sheldon Jeter came down from the upstairs bedroom, Sheldon Jeter was observed wearing dark-colored gym shorts with no shirt. Sheldon Jeter was advised by PSP criminal investigators that we are attempting to locate information on Pugh, as well as possible family members in the area. Sheldon Jeter advised that he was with Pugh last night, that he was with him on 5/15. Jeter related, it is normal for Pugh to show up at the residence unannounced. It is normal. Jeter continued to say that he gave Pugh a ride from his residence to, this is in his words, to up the hill just before dark, utilizing the SUV. When asked to describe where he took Pugh, Jeter maintained he traveled from his residence down to Franklin Avenue, turned onto Highland Avenue, and traveled up the hill. It should be noted, this is the direction of the crime scene where the deceased male was located. Sheldon then dropped Pugh off up on the hill. When asked which route Jeter took on his way home, Jeter confirmed he took Heel Street to Franklin Ave and then traveled back to his residence. That was the last time that Jeter saw or spoke with Pugh. During PSP's conversation with Jeter, Jeter contacted a family member via telephone. While on the telephone, Sheldon Jeter advised this person that Tyreek was shot. It should be noted, no law enforcement officer informed Sheldon Jeter that Tyreek Pugh was shot. After Jeter concluded his phone call, Sheldon Jeter was asked how he knew Pugh was shot. Sheldon Jeter maintained he just put two and two together. Sheldon Jeter was asked if he would be willing to be interviewed by PSP and have the interview recorded, to which he agreed and had no objections to the interview being recorded. Now, let's talk about a couple things here. They don't mention what time they first arrive. But then when we move on to number 6, because that was bullet point 5, and again, I'm going to go through all of this and I'm going to dig down deep and I'm going to show you guys everything and why this is a bunch of crap. Number 6 is on May 16th at approximately 4 in the morning. So between 1:24 when they conducted those interviews of the witnesses to 4 o'clock in the morning, between that time frame obviously is when the cops would have arrived at Sheldon's place where he lives with his, it's just him and his grandfather that live there. Who's a reverend, by the way. He's a reverend, his grandfather. The whole family's involved with the church. But they don't say what time they arrived, but they do want to say that at approximately 4 o'clock in the morning, because they never left. They don't really say that. PSP, Criminal Investigation Unit, conducted a recorded interview with Jeter in a PSP unmarked unit outside the residence. So they conduct this interview outside the residence. That's what they're saying, in an unmarked car. Sheldon Jeter was permitted to sit in the front passenger seat of the vehicle and agreed to be interviewed. During the interview, Jeter maintained he was with Pugh on 5/15. Jeter worked on 5/15 because that was a Friday from 9 o'clock in the morning until approximately 5 p.m. and got home at approximately 6 p.m. Sheldon Jeter maintained he, and I will not mention the people that he was with, but Pugh was one of them, traveled to Brewster's Ice Cream in Hopewell in the evening hours of 5:15. After Brewster's, they returned home where Jeter and Pugh watched television. Sheldon Jeter related that at approximately 11, he contacted a family member and made arrangements to deliver medication to her residence. At some point after, that was at 10 o'clock. 2,200 hours is 10, sorry, my bad. So at 10 o'clock, he contacted a family member, made arrangements to deliver medication to her residence. So at some point after 10 p.m., he and Pugh traveled to the family member's residence, located up the hill on Plan 6, to deliver the medication. After delivering the medication, Sheldon and Pugh returned to the residence and continued to watch television. Sheldon Jeter maintained Pugh eventually got up and left the residence on foot. This was the last time Sheldon Jeter saw Pugh. It should be noted, this statement differed from Sheldon Jeter's original statement, where he related he dropped Pugh off near the area where his body was discovered. Sheldon Jeter related that the keys to this SUV remained within the residence. To his knowledge, no one else used the SUV upon him returning from his family member's residence where he delivered the medication. Additionally, during the interview with Sheldon, he maintained he did not own a firearm, nor were there any firearms within his residence. Now I have a couple questions before I even move on. All these police officers have to start wearing body cams. Like, these police officers have been wearing body cams for a minute, especially when you're talking not about Aliquippa, but then you have the state police department involved. Where are all these people's cameras? They got to have body cams, right? I mean, number 7. In order to show the difference, like just because he was recorded in an unmarked car, recording that, well, if you're maintaining that it's differed from what he originally said, in the house, well, let's just check out your body cams. Let's see what they say. So then this is number 7. On May 16th, 2020, Pennsylvania State Police was permitted by residents at this address to review her exterior residential camera footage. Her residence is located directly across the street from Sheldon Jeter's residence, and the camera faces where the SUV was parked. The cameras are motion activated. The video footage was viewed to verify Sheldon Jeter's statements and timeline given to PSP. Upon review of the footage, it was observed that on 5/15 at 11:11, so next time we want to write down is 11:11. I'm sorry, 11:10 p.m. 2 individuals matching the description of Sheldon Jeter and Pugh enter the SUV and drive away from the residence. On 5/15 at 11:39 p.m., the SUV returns to the driveway located on Orchard. 11:39 p.m. Again, they do not give a time on number 7 here on what time. It just says on May 16th, 2020, PSP was permitted by the resident to review the exterior cameras. Doesn't say what time that they did this. Now we have 8, 9, and 10, and then we're going to talk about it. Number 8, video from Brewster's Ice Cream, located in Hopewell Township, was viewed, and Sheldon Jeter, 2 other people, and Pugh were observed at Brewster's on 5/15 at 9:15 p.m. They were on camera at 9:15 at the ice cream place. Okay. They were observed by this footage, and they were saying that Pugh was wearing the clothing he was found deceased in. Sheldon Jeter was observed wearing the following clothing: a light blue drawstring hoodie, blue jeans, dark color baseball cap with red and orange lettering and red orange 21 on the right side, dark multicolored face mask, and dark colored tennis shoes. Number 9. In summary, Sheldon Jeter and Pugh were recorded on video together at Brewster's wearing the above mentioned clothing on 5/15 at 9:15 hours, or at 9:15 p.m. Sheldon Jeter and Pugh are recorded on the video arriving on Orchard Street at Sheldon's house in the SUV at 10:34 p.m. Sheldon Jeter and Pugh are recorded on video leaving the residence in the SUV at 11:10 p.m. Witness 2 heard multiple gunshots coming from the direction of the scene on 5:15 at approximately 11:36. Multiple businesses along Franklin Avenue captured a vehicle matching the description of the SUV that Sheldon Jeter maintained he was operating. Within minutes of hearing the gunshots, witness number 2 observed the deceased male on Keel Street. The 911 emergency services were contacted at 11:41 concerning the deceased male. The SUV was recorded on video returning to the address where he lives just 2 minutes prior to 911 being contacted, which means 11:39. And cops recall that, according to them, the 911 call was made at 11:41. Now, number 10, the person that did this affidavit believes that this is significant probable cause to obtain the clothing worn by Sheldon Jeter and look for instruments used in this crime. These instruments would include, and it gives a list, okay? Now, this was signed and written up and signed on May 16th at 3:40 p.m. Okay. So, let's talk about this. It was signed at 3:40 and it was presented. Nobody was in the house when the house was searched. Okay, and it was there, and it was searched at roughly around 5 p.m. on Saturday. So, a couple things they leave out that I'm going to fill you in on. Okay. The street was lined, Orchard Street was lined with cops. There wasn't just like 1 or 2 cops coming to the door to knock on the residents of Sheldon. The street had at least 6 cop cars deep. So when Sheldon is being talked to and said, he was just 2 years ago with Rachael DelTondo. Nobody knocks on doors in Aliquippa. Police don't come there and bring an entourage when if someone's like, I don't know, car got stolen. It is very known, like the cops come to you at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're gonna hear from the family saying, they're coming, they're knocking on my door because someone's dead. So, again, when I started this investigation, there's a couple things that I went ahead and I reenacted. Okay? But immediately my red flags with this are the following. At very key points, they don't give us times that they did something. Red flag number 1. Pew was observed laying face up. I had to go to Keel Street, and where his body was found, it was kind of like on a sloping down. I'm going to show you guys, show you that. The casings were just left right there, not bothered to be picked up or anything. An arrest was made, literally, on May 16th. They arrested Sheldon because they then interviewed him down at like 5. Oh, they took him actually at like 4:30. But they arrested Sheldon on the 16th. This is the thing that gets me with this probable cause. How quick this happened. Dollar General is not open. All these places on Franklin are not open. So how quickly do you think that you were able to obtain these surveillance footages? And after being in Aliquippa, which I will pull up, observing any vehicle on Franklin, to me, is here nor there, because I know how good the cameras are because I've seen them. And you'll be able to see an SUV parked, pulling out right before Two Cousins. That's the camera that picks it up, the first one. You would be able to see this SUV, if it was his, at that stop sign, waiting to then turn onto Franklin. So to say that you just observed it on Franklin, no. You should be observing it coming from Cochran, right there where like Keel is, and it just comes Cochran for like a couple, like, I don't know, it's like maybe like 100 feet. It's not that long. I'm gonna take you guys down. I'm gonna show you what Keel Street looks like, and I'm gonna show you where these gunshots, I'm gonna show you guys all this, because then I reenacted the whole thing with the family. I did a reenactment of what they were trying to claim. But number 1 is you should see the SUV coming out of Keel to turn onto Franklin. You should see that from that camera because it goes all the way. You can see past it where the railroad tracks are. So there's no reason that that camera wouldn't have picked up that SUV, period. Number 2, let's go back to these witnesses. We have cell phones. If I come across a dead body, let me just go up to my friend's house and just let them know I found a dead body, and like, then we're gonna go back down there. So witness 1, 2, and 3, nobody picks up their phone and calls 911. Again, let's go over that. They also don't give a time on what time they heard these gunshots. So, witness 1, when interviewed on scene, you know, the interviews of these witnesses didn't happen until 1:25 in the morning, okay? And they're already then interviewing them and then over there to get Sheldon. I mean, they are there to do that, knock on the door, and I was able to obtain footage, and I have them there by 3:15 in the morning. I have them there by 3:15, like possibly earlier, but I have a neighbor that gave me they had their camera, they gave me the footage. So I was able to piece all these pieces together, but I'm trying to go off of this because I believe this is a complete false probable cause, and it should be thrown out, which means anything that comes with it, bye-bye. That's what my goal was with this. If you falsely fill out a probable cause affidavit, an affidavit is a sworn statement. If this is built on lies, then everything that came from it, bye-bye. Not admissible, inadmissible, which means everything they took from that house. So, again, witness 1 was at his house, chilling. Says he hears gunshots, doesn't put down a time that these gunshots were heard, because then I do my investigation, and then I see the witness statements that are actually made, not in the probable cause. And they heard these at midnight. They heard these at 11:50 to midnight with the gunshots. But the 911 call was at 11:41. Witness 2 is coming up the hill, sees the body. Oh, well, I'll just go around it. Continue on. Let my friends know. Let my friend know that, hey, I think there's a dead body in the middle of the road. All the while, did you see the murder happen? Like when you're driving up Keel to, you know, doesn't call 911, gets his friends, goes back down there. Then somebody's there within 2 minutes, supposedly, of like, I know how long it takes to drive from where that body would have been, to drive to where this house is, to gather people, to then come back down there. That's at least a 5-minute process. No doubt about it. So, if it would have been a 5-minute process, if you go based on when Jeter's car was seen, supposedly, at 11:36, and you would add, you know what I'm saying, like 5 minutes onto that, it's exactly at 11:41. It's exactly when the 911 call happened. But when they got to the body, homeboy already said he called 911. Okay. So then did the minivan see the murder? Oh, get this. Then I found a witness. Give me a witness. She was coming home that night. She's seen on surveillance camera from where she works. She's seen leaving at 11:23 on camera, leaving, according to Google Maps and according to then my drive and reenacting this and the way that she travels. She would have been, if you add 11:27, sorry, it was 11:27. If you add 11:27 and you add, it's a roughly, 10 to 13 minute, 10's booking it, like 13 minutes. Just depends on if you hit like night lights, it's like whatever. So just gauge it, 10 to 13 minutes. So if you add 11:27 plus 10 is 11:37. If you add 13, it's 11:40. Here she is, driving home from work, straight up the hill. Doesn't see anything. Doesn't see Pugh, doesn't see Sheldon, and goes to the house, none other than the house where the medicine was dropped off at. So she's going from where they were supposed to be. Doesn't see any of them. Doesn't run into them, driving, And then she hears gunshots when she had to take the garbage out from the house to the garage between 11:50 and midnight. She's like, yeah, it's more towards midnight, but I definitely did it after I got home. The kitchen, gathering all the garbage, took out the trash from the house over to the garage. You know, like we all have to do. That's when she heard the gunshots. This person. She went up that hill, wasn't roped off, didn't see a body. And the timing is right when they're saying, I mean, she's on camera leaving work. She went straight home. She's going to the house where this medicine was going to get dropped off at. The only way she went, she said, this is the way I went. Did you go that way instead? Nope, I went up this way. You didn't see a dead body? Nope. Was it roped off? You didn't see any cars? No, I didn't see anyone. I was able to perfectly drive home. Now let's go back to number 3. They do not ever say what any of these witnesses, they don't ever give them timestamps of when they found the body, nothing like that. All they give is this dispatching of the 911 call, like an unresponsive male. That's what's in the probable cause. And then when they had gotten there, then he writes in the probable cause, gunshots. Well, none of these witnesses in the probable cause talk about time whatsoever. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something. Let's take a look at Keel Street. So you guys can be like, oh, hot damn. Let's see if this works. All my reenactments. How's everybody hanging in there? I know when you're talking about like a new case, you're just like kind of like blown a little bit, but it'll all start kind of coming together for you, hopefully. Hopefully I do my job. That's not gonna fucking work. Give me this thing. This just needs a little juice. My son uses all my devices and just drains them, but it's okay, I love him. Well, that's heating up a little bit. Let me answer some questions so we could stay. What do we got here? What questions do you have so far? There's not going to be hardly any coverage on this. It's all going to be, if you look everything up like Rachael DelTondo, if you look up Sheldon, it's all going to be talking about the Rachael case. This ties in together with my investigation, as this is it's a complete double cross setup. It's a two for one. It's very sad. But I'll tell you guys why Pew died. Okay? Pew was targeted because of the address he had on his identification card. Without a doubt, in my mind, after everything I've done with my investigation, they needed a reason to be able to go and beeline it straight to Jeter's house. And somebody with knowledge that's able to look up things on people's, IDs and things like that. But Sheldon Jeter Jr. and Pew having the same address on their IDs, that's your why with Pew. Now, the last part of the probable cause, when they said they were looking for things, they were looking for instruments used in this crime These instruments would include pistols, firearms, including ammunition, firearm accessories, but not limited to pistols or firearms capable of firing 38 cartridges. Probable cause includes video footage of Sheldon Jeter with Pugh minutes prior to his death and video footage of Sheldon Jeter's vehicle near the area around the time of Pugh's death. Additionally, Jeter's statement to the PSP differed from the first to the second interview. That's what they're saying, as to that his first and second interview were not consistent with video surveillance captured. Okay, let's all remember what time this was at. 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, upstairs out of bed, like, just, and they were body cams. Where's, like, let's see the body cam footage. Where I want to see your police notes on what Jeter said this supposed first time. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can show you guys. I think I gotta go this way. Okay, first thing I want to show you guys is Keel Street. Just so you can get an idea of the way I did a reenactment of this, so you guys can kind of see it. Did they read him his rights prior to questioning? Well, you just read the probable cause. I mean, they say they did. They say they did in the cop car. They said they read him his Miranda rights. Then they interviewed him back on May 16th. So what I'm giving you guys right here, because we're just simply talking about the probable cause warrant, and what I'm going to go into here in episode 2 that I do today, which is actually episode, well, it's technically 5, because 4, I'm doing an exclusive interview with the family tomorrow for you guys live. It'll be good. Again, this is one of the families that I work with, like, literally talk to them every day, multiple times a day. So everything about that probable cause warrant is completely suspect out the, you know, out the A. They're able to obtain all this footage, all this surveillance stuff, check on all this stuff, gather all of this information, Bruce's and Hopewell, do all this stuff within, like, I mean, 3 o'clock in the morning is when you just start knocking on his door, and within 12 hours you have a probable cause warrant because you did all of this stuff that you claim that you did. And you were able to do all of this stuff. But the Rachael DelTondo case, you guys couldn't do anything. Like, where's what? And Sheldon Jeter Jr. what? Committed the most perfect, elaborate, thought out crime, passion, got away with it, and then just got so sloppy. Where's the motive in killing Pugh for him? He so sloppy as to do this, drive on Franklin to see, has car be seen everywhere, supposedly, and then get back, bring the gun, put the gun back in the house, and just go to bed like nothing happened? What? What? Like, this is a setup. It's a double cross setup. And I'm convinced I did go ahead and prove it. It's just a matter of, you know, dotting I's and crossing T's, but cool story, bro. I'm gonna turn the camera on. I'm gonna have you guys look at something. Let's see. How do I go to menu? My private groups. Oopsies. And I do have some new members out there, so I do want to say hi to them. And I think there's a lot of PA people watching, so I definitely want to say hi to them. Welcome, new members. Okay, here we go. Technical difficulties, but I'm trying to make this work. Let's do it. There's nothing I can do about this. Okay, hold on. I don't know. Maybe it's just what I see. Okay, check this out. Get off of that. Damn it. Oh, God, this is so good. This is for my private group right here. I never let another chick bring me down and I'm turn. Oh, that one. So the question is that chat, then never talk. Want to be traveling. Okay. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I totally agree. That's what you're saying. This don't make sense at all. Going around. Here we go. What do we gotta do here? Straight up. You're way far from it. We gotta go on the other side. Like in the middle of the road. Hey, question. You're doing investigation. Want you to check this out? Hold on, we're getting there. Okay, check out this street. This is Kiel. Is this it right here? This is it. Keep going. Right here. Okay. Where's the Sheldon would have to be over here if he did. Okay, I need to see Sheldon. I'm gonna get it. I'm just trying to where his body was laying. Where's his body? Right here? I was in a lay. I just want you to take a picture. I just want to be laying. I just want you to take a picture. I just want to see. Okay, so come down. Get your car. That's what I don't understand. I don't know if that light was on at that time. Which one? That one right there? Just wait for it. Give it a second here. Sorry, I didn't want to mess with it too much. You know, like, why wouldn't you be like, get out? Oh, get out. You can just hide yourself. You got this right here. Look at how tight. Right here, oopsies, right there in the middle, right there is where his body was laying diagonal, okay? Now, it's a very tight street. It's very dark. Watch this car coming this way. You cannot, you have to know, you have to be in the middle of the road. There's no way you could get past that without hitting that body. I don't want to show who's there, but I want to show you guys one other thing. Hold on one second. Now, one last thing. Just like straight up like that. Hold on. Right here. This light is the only light, if it would have been working, lights up this to see that's where my car is. I pulled it off over there, the SUV, is that you go around this bend, and I'm going to actually just do a regular Google map so you can kind of just watch me do it. But it's such a tight turn to come down, as you guys will see. His body was in the middle of the road. There's no way you're getting around. There's no way you can miss it. Like, you're going to see it. It's a human being laying there. It's very tight, and the question is if that light was on or not. Either way, it doesn't matter, but because you're still gonna know, you'd have to run over him if you didn't even see it. It's a very dark street. But what I did the reenactment with was exactly how the way he would have went there. The cameras that would have caught him, the same cameras, or at least one of them, going up to Plan B. Where is that surveillance? Why can't you time up him going up the hill? Why are you only talking about going back? Why aren't you timing up, you know, coming up the hill when you pass Dollar General, which is in this reenactment. Over here. I have too much fun sometimes. Yeah, no confessions, no nothing like that. So here, this is what I wanted to show. So I have another one that shows fuck is this taking so long? I want to show you guys how far the houses are from where this body, you know, was found, because that's a huge part of the whole timeline as well. Because they're talking about like minutes, and what basically I've come to completely disprove is that if there was an 1141 911 call, it was a staged 911 call at 1141. They're claiming that in the in the affidavit that it was at 1141. I want to hear that phone call. I want to know who made that phone call. I want to hear exactly what they say. But the witness from the house of where they were at and would have been one of those people that was coming home there would have came up that hill and didn't see anybody, didn't see Sheldon, Pugh, or anybody dead. Didn't see anybody at the house. They weren't at the house. So in my investigation up to this point, just so I can explain this to you guys, is I immediately ruled out that there's no way that that 911 call, that anybody was dead yet. It's just what I believe. Because it's impossible. 1141, they were on scene 1143. 1027, leaving work and is on camera and going directly to that house, and then knowing what time that person got there, didn't see anybody, and then heard the gunshots after they got home. Come on. The 1141, that call may have happened, but that's part of the setup. Number one. Number two, witness 1, 2, 3, 4. How about these questions for them? Number one would be, witness 2, which I know the answer now, or at least what they're gonna go ahead and state. They said that they were coming there, and the reason they crossed over this body was they were coming there to go to witness 1's house because, remember, it's Friday. It's Friday night. They were coming there to go and spend the night because they had an interview the next day. we're in the middle of COVID. An interview. An interview for what? What are you interviewing for? You're going and you're going to have an interview the next day. And they were like, no. Yeah. Okay, well, that's easy to track. Where was this person interviewing? And did they, in fact, have an interview that next day? Remember, May 15th, middle of COVID, everything's shut down. Everyone's living off of their stimulus checks. Like, but I got an interview tomorrow. Came to kick it up here with my boys or girls or whoever. Again, goes back down to the bodies. Nobody calls 911. This way, that way. Oh, this person with the minivan called 911. And was literally like, and in the probable cause affidavit, they don't talk about any time frames. Like, when, witness number 2, where were you coming from? My house. Well, what time did you leave your house? So you would ask all of those things and then does their statement line up with the probable cause? And it doesn't, because the witness statements, they say 11:50 and midnight. Boom! What? Same is now my new witness. Isn't that crazy? That's just sick. Did I mute it? Are you guys muted? Was Pew shot in the back or the front? My notes are far away and question was asked. Oh, he was shot 7 times. I was gonna get into that. I'll end this episode with that. He was shot 7 times. 7. And ready for the shots. Okay. Here, like here, here. Yeah. These going through like under his arms, it was like under his arms. And immediately when I saw under his arms, it was like he was shot under his arms. Well, because if my hands are just like this and I'm walking, he's supposed to be walking. He's known to be a walker. He's walking to work, supposedly. He works, and a lot of them are in like the health home care business where like they'll go to like residents and like take care of them at their place and stuff like that. His arms were raised, in my opinion. His arms were up in a way. Like if you were to be like, or like this even, like, you know, but his arms definitely had to be all the entrance wounds from, so if he's walking down Keel Street, walking down, the person who would have shot him, in my opinion, would have to have approached him like this way, you know, like you're walking down, unless a car rolls up on you, because if you get turned around, however you want to look at it, he would have had to been facing the person that was shooting him, and or if he was thrown out of the vehicle because he wasn't really shot there, depending on, but here is like they were pressure points. Here, 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 and I'm just like, how do you, on both sides, like what? But the ones that really stuck out to me were under his arms. And that's like, if somebody, it's like in my opinion, it could be somebody that's saying, who comes up on you and says maybe something like, put your hands up, freeze, put your hands up, or, you know, but your hands would have to have been up in order to hit you under your arms in a way. 100% Sheldon did not do this, okay? I don't, you know, I'll compare stuff like with everybody wants to say, well, like, in the Chris Watts case, guys, there's no evidence. It's only Chris's words. I was defending Chris's civil rights. I was defending our legal system, our legal process. There is no evidence whatsoever. And in fact, the evidence that I uncovered with that investigation is that the law enforcement hid stuff by tampering with evidence, okay? In my investigation with this, the number one thing I noticed was the timestamps were completely no way, impossible. And it was, how are you getting all these timestamps? And how did you obtain this and that and this and that? And in the time frame that they did it all, but meanwhile, Sheldon committed a near perfect murder 2 years ago, but then just sloppy as shit. Now, the things that they took and got, and this is where I call BS. You guys know when you shoot somebody or a gun's fired, it's gonna have residue. You're gonna have gunpowder residue. What they fail to leave out in all of this, in this probable cause, is when they went, now, Sheldon already had a lawyer in Santa Cola because of Rachael DelTondo case. And they still had him and were actually working to get a civil attorney because they were going to sue civilly. Like, a ton of things were being worked in the back. Remember how Stephen Avery, he's found, you know, he's exonerated, he comes out of prison after serving those 18 years for a rape that he never did and all that stuff. Well, do you remember how he was about to get awarded all that money? And then what? Oh, he's just murders again, or for the first time. And it's clear as day to me with that. I mean, that town, they owed him millions and they had to pay out millions of dollars. So that's your motive on why you would frame somebody, is money. So going back to what Sheldon Jeter, if you guys go look at the Rachael DelTondo case, they were caught in a car. Remember that? They were caught in that vehicle. Sheldon's family was never notified of that. He's a minor. You have to report that to the school. You have to do this. You have to do that. You know, then his name was dragged through the mud. Okay, he was a minor at the time. And the police department just, regardless if you think that something happened or didn't happen, they did not remotely do the right things. You have to notify the school. Like, there are procedures that you have to do and you have to take. Sheldon was, you know, and could have, a phenomenal athlete. Why didn't he go to college? Why didn't he go and play his sports? He was supposed to go to the California University of Pennsylvania. So, going back to now, the state's going to tell you that the gun, Sheldon did not have a gun during the DelTondo case. He never owned a gun until after the DelTondo case. In 2019, he got one for self-defense, and got it legally and all that stuff, had it registered and all that. Sheldon never told them that he didn't have a gun. That's a lie. That's in the probable cause. Also, when they were taking things, they were listing what they were taking, but they weren't saying where they got it from. For example, Baseball cap 21, Las Vegas. It's numbered 1, quantity 1. Where was it? Now, I'm sure that this would be in another police report, obviously. All these have like reports after reports after reports. But the one thing I can tell you that they did not do, because I'm on the case, is the gun. So this is how this plays out. They take Sheldon's story in the vehicle. They take the family member into a different vehicle and do an interview, both, being interviewed. They don't let the son of the father who owns that home into that house. They keep everybody out of the house. Nobody's allowed to go in the house. The elderly man who's the grandfather of Sheldon has suffered 2 strokes recently. His uncle, who's the grandfather's son, Sheldon's uncle, has power of attorney. Has power of attorney over this, his dad, and was stating things like, I'm power of attorney, I want to be, like, I need to be making these decisions. He shouldn't be making any of these decisions. I'm power of attorney over my dad, who's elderly. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyways, so when they get done being out of both cop unit cars, they say nothing to anybody. It's roughly about 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's kind of dispersing, and Sheldon's family goes back to their house. Well, knock at the door. His aunt or his uncle they came. They're like, hey, we believe Sheldon's story. We believe Sheldon. We believe his story. Are we able to get that surveillance that's across the street? Are we able to get that? We want to take a look at that. We want to take a look at that surveillance. Do you believe Sheldon's story? We want to take a look at that. They go back. Wait, why are you asking why are you going to somebody else's house and asking if you can use the across the street neighbors? Can we get that surveillance? Like, we just want to go ahead, like, we believe Sheldon's story, and, we want to go ahead and, we believe him. Can we get that surveillance? That's not his house. Oh, but it's his aunt's. That's his aunt's house. So you're saying that you believe, just go and ask her for it. Just go over there, ask her for it. No. So when everybody dispersed, they said, well, was he driving that's the car he was driving, right? The SUV he was driving? Yeah. Okay, so Sheldon, we're gonna need your cell phone, and we're gonna take this car. Is that okay with you? The car wasn't towed. The SUV wasn't towed. An officer got in the car and drove the SUV to the barracks, to the police, the state police department. Drove it. Took Sheldon's phone. And then around 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there, state police are knocking, saying they believe him, they believe Sheldon's story, and they want to get the surveillance from the house across the street. Well, just go get a warrant for it. What do you do? You're asking them? Oh, wait, because that's his aunt's house. So you're gonna lie to him, tell him you believe Sheldon. We just need to just go get this, go get it. So what does he do? He's like, yeah, I can drive you. I can go over there with you. His family member, who's his uncle, goes over to his aunt's house, which is directly across the street. And that's when they just observed and looked at the iPad that had, when you guys have your, just like whatever type of, like look at like Chris and Shanann. They had Vivint. You can go on your app and you can see stuff. So, now mind you, because I'm going to show you something to rock your world. The probable cause warrant affidavit for the search was signed at 3:40 p.m. on Saturday, May 16th, 3:40 p.m. The police department conveniently calls and says, you can come pick up your SUV and you can come get your phone. So in the morning, they go and they look then at the iPad for the surveillance of the, the cameras, and are basically doing this, just writing down what they think they see, okay? Just looking at it. They're just looking at it. Don't know if something was deleted. Don't know, but they were literally had the iPad and going through stuff and looking at the clips and everything to do with whatever they needed, okay? They were fiddling around and physically handling that iPad and that system. They then send not one, but 2 cop cars to Orchard Street to pick up Sheldon. They put in one vehicle, and they put his elderly grandfather in another vehicle, 2 separate vehicles, and drive them to the police station, police department, like the state, the barracks, to what they think's happening is to pick up the vehicle that they took the night before, and so he can get his cell phone. They then get there, around 4:35, and lo and behold, police department shows back up at Orchard Street to serve the warrant, the search warrant. Here you go. But no one's there. Well, actually there was, but he left the house. And they searched the house, nobody present, other than police officers. When they are at the, so you got Sheldon in one cop car, his grandfather in the other. They get there. They put them in interrogation rooms. Mind you, remember, Sheldon doesn't have a cell phone. His grandfather is 85, 87 years old, 85, something like that. They then start questioning him. A couple hours go by. The grandfather has to go to the bathroom. He wanders off and gets locked in a bathroom, and is locked in a bathroom for a couple hours. Was locked, couldn't get out. Was in a bathroom, locked. Sheldon's uncle and another family member show up to the barracks and are like, where's my father? Huh? What? Where's my father? Find out he's locked. They find him locked in this bathroom. He got himself locked in this bathroom because they had to give him his medicine. Then they're like, where's our vehicle? Where's Sheldon? What's going on? Oh, well, you're not going to be getting your vehicle back, and we're arresting Sheldon. But right before they said that, they were like, they asked it one other time, and then they said, well, I'm sure Sheldon wants his attorney. So can we talk to Sheldon? We want to talk to Sheldon. I'm sure Sheldon wants his attorney. Come back out. Yeah, it looks like you guys aren't getting your vehicle back, and we're arresting Sheldon. Trust me, when I first talked to the family, I was like, why would you ever first of all, why didn't you call your lawyer right away after you just been through the DelTondo crap? He's like, because they came and they said us that they believe Sheldon. And then they called us to come in back and pick up the vehicle that they took and to get his cell phone. So him and my dad go down there to get it. And then we have to show up there because we have no idea where anybody's at. Here, my dad's in the damn bathroom locked in there, And Sheldon's getting arrested, and they're like, "Yen, you're not getting back your vehicle." Still to this day, they don't have that vehicle back. And they were making their payments on it, you know, monthly. I mean, that's here nor there, because we're talking about homicide. We're talking about murder. We're talking about what? So now we have to go back to this whole probable cause warrant, because it's very, very important. Because they're claiming of the things that they were able to obtain and get due to that probable cause, they just listed all these times of the neighbor's surveillance. And I immediately looked at that and I was like, when did they see the neighbor's surveillance? Because the actual probable cause number 2 affidavit that was put out was for the neighbor's surveillance, which they did not obtain until that Monday, that they went and got it that Monday evening. How do you not have that? Because what they went and got, what they obtained on Monday evening, so the murder's late Friday night, they end up, you know, going beelining it to his place, doing all this bullshit. Then they go, you know, Sheldon's then arrested on Saturday, you know, evening, after all this craziness. And nothing on Sunday. And then on Monday, because you got 15, 16, 17, it was the 18th. And then you got Monday when they serve this other probable cause, this warrant, the search warrant, to get the surveillance from the neighbor. Wait, so what? So where'd you get these timestamps on him coming and going from Orchard and these people and who went where, what, why? That's what they were claiming they got when they first went there with, you know, in the morning. They were jotting this stuff down. Well, then where is it today? How come today none of that stuff's there? How come today, when I've seen the footage from the neighbor, who I love that woman, man, she's rock solid. I can't wait to show you guys all this stuff because it's coming together and it's going to be in a huge documentary and it's going to be really good, but it's also really true. And this is what pains me, that I just dealt with a bunch of bullshit for a week or two, because none of that shit matters in life. This is what does. And I'm looking over stuff and I'm like, where's this footage of like 2 people coming and going, 1 person coming back? Like, what the shit? When you're saying that Sheldon's getting back there at 11:39 and getting out of an SUV by himself, where is that? When you're saying 2 people left at this time, you know, what about, so I said I wanted to see the whole day. I said I want all the footage from this day. So I went over to the neighbors and I was like, can I get, you know, so I had to get all this information. She's like, yeah, they came here and they took everything. They took the iPad that it was used on, and then they took all the hardware. And I said, well, did they come back out to give you new hardware, or are your cameras just running and they're not recording anything? Oh, Aliquippa is in Pennsylvania, PA. Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. It's where a bunch of stud athletes come out of in the NFL. Aliquippa, PA, baby. Here, the aunt got this camera after the DelTondo crap. She installed, because it was directly on that house for a reason. Because they've been after him. Like, they just mess with him all the time, Sheldon. But she's like, yeah, that's why we got it. Now, also what I did is I canvassed the neighborhood. Not one single neighbor has ever been interviewed by police. Not one. Not one. Not one single neighbor on that street has been asked for their cameras, or if they had them, or whatever. Nada. The neighbor to the left, though, of the house, I'm not even gonna go there with that, but it's very important in my investigation. It's very important to the family. So, a couple things that I thought were interesting. They don't tow the vehicle, they drive it. It didn't get towed. A police officer drove it. I don't care if you lay down plastic in a car. Anything, you just sit on it and drive it wherever. Police officers handle guns and shoot guns all the time. When you're saying and claiming that you found gunpowder residue, just speckles of it or something like that, on the steering wheel or something like that, speckles of it, speckles. What about when you have to put it in gear? What about when you have to, I don't know, turn up the radio or touch something else, open up the door? Speckles, okay? Speckles of gunpowder residue. Wait for it. Then, when they did this whole searching and taking stuff from the house, well, I asked, where would Sheldon normally keep his gun? When he wasn't using it, like when I say using it, taking it out, going wherever. Speckles, like specks, just speckles, just little pieces, I guess. That's their words, not mine. Where would Sheldon keep his gun? Where did they find this gun? Because that's what's tying him to this crime. In my opinion, it's this gun. Well, the state claims that his gun matches the ballistics, that, the casings and everything, it's all a match. I said, okay, great. Where was his gun when you found it? Doesn't say, where they found it, but it would say in a police report that the supplementals, it would be there. So just tell me where his gun was found. And I said, Sheldon, where do you normally keep your gun? Well, I keep it underneath my mattress. That's where it would have been. I told them that's where it would. I told them where they could find it. It was underneath my mattress where my gun was. So wouldn't there be gunpowder residue all up in that mattress? There would be. Did they take the mattress? Did they cut out a chunk of the mattress to see if there was gunpowder residue all over the place? Nope. Guess who has that mattress right now? Me. I want that mattress. What? If you found his gun underneath the mattress, in between the mattress and, you know what I'm talking about. And that's why I said, all right, was it on the floor? What do you mean underneath the mattress? No, stuff between the mattress and the box spring. Well, there'd be gunpowder residue all up in that. If you had to stuff it back in there, that's what would had happened. And I was like, did they cut that out? Did they take that? Nope, hasn't been touched. What? Okay, so the state doesn't take it. Where's your lawyers? Why aren't they talking about this? Then miraculously, so I said to the family, because I'm very blunt, I said, okay guys, it's very simple. It's a very simple thing. No, it was a staged investigation. It wasn't botched at all. This was a staged investigation. I said, okay, it's very simple here, guys. The gun is everything because it had to have left the house. If that gun in ballistics matches the shell casings and the bullets inside of him and da-da-da, I said, The gun had to leave the house, the gun had to do the shooting, and the gun had to get back in that house. Sheldon didn't do it, but somebody would have had to get that gun, use it in that crime, and get it back in before the cops would go there to do this probable cause search warrant. And I kept saying to myself, wow, what a fast fucking probable cause affidavit. And I said to myself, where is the surveillance? Because across the street's all motion. So I said, I want to see the whole week leading up to May 15th. And I want to see who was coming and going from that house, who entered that house, who left that house, and then who came there from the moment between the SUV getting back there until the cops then arriving with the search warrant. Where did that go? Now, I know without a doubt Sheldon did not do this, but if Sheldon didn't do this, but his gun did, how do you explain that, right? It's very simple. Setup. How do you prove it? A little bit harder, but doable. And last but not least, why? Why? Why, how, what, where, when, why? Why? And the why is Rachael DelTondo. That's your why. It's a twofer. Okay, guys, I'll be back with episode 2 that I'm doing tonight. I'll be back here. I'm going to get set up for what I'm doing for this next episode. And just give me, because I want to start a whole new, thumbnail for it. But let's just go ahead and I'll start here at 9:45. So just grab yourself some drinks, order up some DoorDash. Let's make it a date. So I'll be back live here in give me about, like I said, like 9:45. See you guys soon. Mwah. Oh, mod bods. Love your faces. And I'll do a lot more questions and answering stuff for you guys when we wrap up that next episode. Okay? Bye-bye now.